Hey everybody, welcome to episode 29 of Making It. We should be on 30, but we skipped last week, so we're back. And I'm Bob Clagett, here with Jimmy Diresta, David Picciuto. How's it going, guys?
Very good. Did you guys enjoy your summer vacation?
I had a great time in New Orleans.
It was good.
I was in New Orleans, and I want to apologize because I was so busy in New Orleans that I couldn't really commit to a time. We were just running around setting up parties the entire time I was there for the liquor business, and it was just so busy, and there was no time to commit. So it's all my fault. I apologize.
You're fired.
No worries.
You guys got to get your stories straight.
Yeah, very, very different responses.
Yeah. Bob and I have different management styles.
You got me on the other. You're fired.
It was nice to have actually a week off. I mean, I actually kind of missed it. You know, it was get so used to talking to you guys every week, but it was nice to have a week off. So
thank you. No, I put it, Dave. You put it. I said, guys, I'm sorry, I can't commit. Can we figure out another time? And you go, why don't we take a week off? And I was like, okay. And I was like, okay, cool. Let's take a week off. It's a busy, quick answer. So yeah, no, it was cool. I'm just so backed up. I know I make movies. I owe my own channel movies, and I'm working now for Core. So I have so many things to do and so little time to do them. So it was good to catch up and not have the stress. Although it's only just an hour, but it was an hour I couldn't find last week. So
yeah. Traveling makes that difficult. But
yeah. But it was fun. I had a lot of fun in New Orleans. And I don't know if anybody followed me on Snapchat. I was Snapchatting the entire time. And I got a lot of good replies from the people that did follow. Because my buddy, the guys I hang out with are pretty crazy in a fun, southern way. They're all Southerners. And we just had a blast. Like shooting guns and being stupid. It was fun. Not real guns in this case. We had fake guns in this case. Yeah. Like my buddy, I told my buddy, I'm like, I'm getting a lot of good replies on my Snapchat, and he goes, yeah. He goes, it's booze and guns. He goes, what else is there? That's all there is. I was like, oh, okay.
Wow.
So
I traveled a little bit over this past weekend too. I went camping with a friend of mine's getting married, and so a bunch of guys went out to the woods in North Carolina and did some hiking and camping, and that was really nice to get away.
Nice.
Oh, that's cool.
Did you keep up your marathon training?
I did. I was able to do it before we left on Friday, like late morning. So I did it that morning. So yeah, still keeping up.
How many miles in a clip?
That was a 9-mile run, and so this week it's back down, so it's lower this week, and then next week it goes back up. So
that's crazy. That's the New York sirens. You hear their real, authentic New York sirens just for you guys that listen to them in my West.
Cool. Well, what's everybody been working on? Jimmy, obviously you've been busy. Have you actually had any shop time?
Yeah, well, I got back. I immediately jumped right back into, I'm supposed to be working on a book for Make, but I'm so busy that my next project for that book is going to be my tool file draw. So I jumped right back on that, and I'm past the hump. It's a lot of work, a lot of physical woodwork, and I'm taking some shortcuts, of course, just because of timing. And it's coming along. So I moved that along the very first day I was back in the shop, which was Monday. And then yesterday I had to do, I'm working on a pretzel shop here in the city. No videos on that because the work isn't all that complex. So working on just cabinets and, just more logistic stuff. So the pretzel shop project is moving along. And today, as soon as we're done with the podcast, I'm going to hop in my car and drive 50 miles into New Jersey and pay for a new lathe. I'm buying a South Bend lathe, a 1945 South Bend lathe that weighs like 2,500 pounds. It's 8 feet long. Yeah, it's like something I've always wanted. And I got the Craigslist bug a few months ago, and I started looking, and this one popped up last night, and I emailed the guy, and he wrote back to me, and he said, I put it on, and you were the first person to email me like 2 minutes later. I didn't realize that it had just shown up. And anyway, so I'm going tonight to pay for it, and then I'll figure out how to pick it up in a couple of weeks, maybe within the next couple of weeks to how to pick it up, maybe in pieces. It's really big and heavy, but I'm looking forward to playing with that. My new giant old toy.
Is that going straight upstate, or is that coming to the?
Yeah, no, that'll go straight upstate. I'm going to move some stuff into the container to make room for it because there's a few tools up there I don't use, and actually. That reminds me, I'm going to give some tools away from my upstate shop. So I'm going to do like a little online thing. I'm going to give away a lathe and a planer. So if there's any people local, I'm going to figure out how to just do like a drawing and just give them away. It's in my Tools and Talk video, I talk about a lathe that's up there that I just picked up for like $100. I'm probably going to give that away because I don't see myself using it. And then I have a planer from Sears, which I got from one of the TV shows. I'm just going to give away because I never used that as well. So stand by for the news on that.
I just put out my guitar video. I know I've been talking.
Fantastic, by the way.
Thank you very much. I've been talking about it for 5 weeks. I ran into some technical difficulties and finally got everything all figured out and put it out just yesterday. And I'm very, very happy with it.
I'm watching it now with the sound off. It's amazing.
Thanks.
Really, I love that piece of wood. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, it's I had to glue it up. It's really hard to find ash that wide. And right before we started recording this, I started taking it apart because the next video is me painting it. So I'm doing grain filling. Yeah, I know. Man, so many people are going to be upset. I'm like, don't paint it. Yeah,
why?
But I think people just like the look of the wood, but I want to paint it because I want to make a video out of it. I want to do, and it's something I've never done before.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have a good time doing
You know what you should do? You should plasta dip it. And then you could just peel it off.
Right on.
Speaking of dipping, as I was doing a lot of research for guitar painting, have you ever seen how you marble something?
Yeah, you drop it in that like water, oil-based stuff, suspended on water.
But I've also seen like you can just like in water, like you take spray paint and you spray the surface of it and you kind of take a stick and you just barely agitate it to get these little waves in there. And then you can dip whatever in there and you slowly pull it out and it has like this cool marble effect. I'm definitely not going to do it. It's not my style of guitars, but it's cool just to pick up all these other techniques that I could use for maybe some other project in the future.
Yeah, I didn't realize that's how that worked. That's cool.
Bob, what have you been working on?
I've been insanely busy, but I feel like I haven't been very productive. I kind of realized a couple weeks ago that I had been doing all these projects that were like necessary things, but they're not really that interesting. And I think that's part of me not feeling super productive. But, like I had to build a little simple 2x4 table for my drill press just because I got a new dust collector. I think I talked about that a couple weeks ago. And so I had to build just a really simple table. And it's like, barely even worth making a video about because it's so simple.
I disagree. I watched the video and I think there's a lot of things you can pick up from it. I mean, you talked about like how you needed more drawer space and where you placed all the 2x4s. I don't know. I got something out of it. So
yeah, maybe. But thank you. But there's a few videos like that are just kind of utility things and stuff I'm trying to get through. But today I've gotten those out of the way and they're online and waiting to be released. And so today I actually got to start on another project that I'm not going to say anything about yet, but it's a lot of fun. It's just fun. It's pointless and fun. So
is it for your channel?
I like those.
Yeah, for mine.
Very good. It has stuff going with your make videos. Are you getting good response on that stuff?
Yeah, I did get good response on the ones I did for them, but a lot of people didn't realize they were mine because the thumbnails don't have any kind of branding and my name wasn't in the title. And so I think they just got missed by a lot of the people that might have wanted to see them. Yeah. So, and we may do some more at some point, but there's no immediate plans.
Oh, okay. I thought you were on a schedule. You're not on a schedule then.
Yeah, we were talking about it, but right now I've got so much to do on my own channel and just, I've got an ever growing backlog of stuff that I want to make that I don't know when I would start making stuff for somebody else now.
Yeah, no.
A friend of mine asked me many months ago, like, are you worried you're going to run out of ideas? And I have no shortage of ideas. There's a whiteboard over here, and it's a huge list, and I can't wait to get to almost every single thing on there.
Yeah. I finally, speaking of whiteboards, this week I finally set up a whiteboard in my office because I've been like kind of juggling the schedule for when I'm going to do a video, what steps need to be done, what materials I have to order. I've just been keeping all that in my head, and it was getting really cloudy, and all that stuff was kind of running together. And so I finally set up a whiteboard to write a schedule on. And so I have like 2 columns. This is a productivity thing that maybe will help somebody. 2 columns. One is like, these are the videos just from a title perspective and a date. And then if they have a sponsor attached to them. And then the other side is like the tasks that are required to do those things. And just being able to dump all that information out on a single surface and be able to look at it cleared my head up so much and helped me just, I just put a number next to the videos. Like number 1 is the next one I'm doing. Number 2 comes after that. And man, I feel so much more like planned out. And now I have videos planned every week for the next like 6 weeks.
Oh, that's cool.
Like, oh, wow.
You get that visual. You can just glance at it and maybe not even read it, but you get the visual of what you need to do and what's coming up. And that just helps.
Yeah. And I've got dates next to them, like projected when I want to release them. And that gives me a point to work backwards from. So I know that if, this one in 3 weeks, I want to release it in 3 weeks, I need a few days of editing. So that backs me up a little bit. I need, 4 or 5 days of production. That backs me up a little bit. So then I know when I need to be ordering materials. And so I don't let stuff, fall behind and it throws the whole schedule off. So that's been good.
Cool.
But
so I want to talk about the Jimmy Diresta Making It animations.
Oh, yes.
Oh, those are hilarious.
Those are fantastic.
Those are so funny. Do we know the young man's Twitter handle?
It's at Tomo Byrne. I'm probably saying it wrong.
He is so funny, those things.
And we'll put links in the description. But basically, they're little snippets from the Making It podcast. That's this podcast right here. And he made little animations from these audio snippets. And they are fantastic. They're
really
them.
Funny.
Yeah.
It's funny is how pixelated I am and my brother and one of them. And it looks like us, even though it's so pixelated. Like my image is made out of like 50 pixels and it looks just like me. That's the funniest thing. Yeah. Yeah, it was funny. And the triangles running around like mice. It was hilarious.
Oh, so good. So good.
Yeah. We'll definitely put links to both of the 2 that he's put out.
Super awesome. Funny. And, it would be interesting to see if anybody picks up on the idea and starts doing more of those stupid things from the dumb stories.
Yeah, so far, let's just be clear. So far, they're just Jimmy's stories.
My dumb stories, yeah.
Well, Jimmy has the best stories. That's one of the reasons I look forward to this show. It's like, I wonder what stories Jimmy has in his back pocket for today.
Oh, I don't know. I haven't thought about anything. I mean, what are we talking about today? We're going to talk about...
We're going to talk about selling out.
Let's talk about selling out. Let's all sell out. You want to?
That's the negative way to approach it. We're going to talk about sponsorships and how we make money and why it's necessary. And
we probably talked about it once or twice before in one way or another. But I mean, it's certainly something it's the necessary evil of working for yourself and becoming your own production company. I mean, there's no doubt about it that the 3 of us are our very own production companies. When you think about a production company that makes a TV show and how many people go into it and what they do and the reason why they're all there is to sell advertising.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, YouTube has more of a little bit of a homey feel, and there's no doubt about that. Whether we actively participate in it on our own channel or whether we passively participate in it by allowing AdSense to do its work, this is entertainment is all about, telling people what else is available to buy while you're busy having fun learning new things. And so it's a necessary evil, and it's tough, and some people are offended by it. And it's unfortunate they're offended by it because they'll be okay with me. They'll be okay hopping in their Chevy with their name written on everything, and they'll probably have a Chevy jacket on, and they'll have Chevy socks on, and they'll have a Playboy bunny around their keyhole of their car. But they watch my video, and they're like, "Oh, you write your name too much." I'm like, "What difference does it make? I'll write my name more now that you said it." And so it's this is funny. This one guy commented on a video and he says, "You write your name." He cursed. You write your name too much. So my response to that was I just cut and pasted my name like 60 times. So I wrote that on, and then now like 7 other people have done the same thing. So he hasn't deleted the comment yet. People just keep their comment to his comment is just put my name under it 700 times.
Yeah.
So that's been a funny response. But yeah, no, it's a necessary thing. And Bob, you're doing really well with the advertising. I told you from the minute I met you, you should go into the world of voiceovers. And would you like to give us a sampling of how we were going to start the show?
Oh yeah, we were talking about starting it like this. 3 men ready to do a podcast. But then we decided not to because that would be dumb. So we didn't do it.
I'm glad we didn't do that.
Yeah, that would be stupid.
No, I was always serious, and I know David agrees. You have a fantastic ability to talk about a product pitch without and on. You don't have any jump cuts in yours. If you watch anything I do where I talk, it jump cuts a million times. And that's just cutting out my ums and my ahs and a rat will run across the room and I'll go like that. And I'll be like, oh, I'm doing a video. I forgot. And, so it's just, you have a knack for it. And
I appreciate it.
A few weeks ago, I was having a conversation with Kelly and we were talking about Bob's rapid growth. And she said something that just totally made sense, is that Bob is very approachable in his videos. Like, you watch Bob's videos and you're like, I'd like to hang out with that guy. He seems very friendly. And I was like, what about me? And she's like, you're a little bit more intimidating. And so you're just not as approachable as Bob. And maybe that's just, I'm not going to change the way I do videos, but that might be one of the reasons you're doing so well.
I have no idea.
I mean,
it's funny when like, we I don't know if you guys want to talk about this or not, but when we don't have to divulge specifics, but when each one of us gets approached by a company, I get one number, David gets another number, and Bob gets another number, and they're never the same.
And we all share. We all know what we're getting.
Well, that's the strange thing. Okay, so let's move away from me and move to talking about actual sponsorship stuff. Okay. That's the interesting thing, is that these sponsors that come to people in podcasting and in video creation, they seem to think that we don't talk to each other. And I know that the three of us and many, many other YouTube people are extremely open about the numbers that we're getting and that we're being offered to and what we're looking for, because it only, and Jimmy has been a big proponent of this the whole time, it only helps to raise the floor. When we all are open about that stuff, then, no one is taking a low number that's going to undercut everybody else, and that's just bad for the whole thing. So I think it's really good that we do that, and I hope people continue to do that, in the creator space.
I've emailed, I'm pretty sure I've emailed April and Izzy, and, I said the same thing I said to you guys, let's just make it, because these companies come to us and they go, we have $500. That's the budget. And can you do, a video that's going to last forever on the internet of you selling out? It's going to last forever, and you can't delete it. And you have to share your analytics with us, and you have to say this script. And then I learned a while ago, by the way, that's Spike jumping on a piece of paper next to my microphone. There he is. I watched one of my videos once and I saw me saying the same thing and I'm like, oh, wow, I'll never get paid for saying that ever again. But I don't want to delete it because it's attached to a really good piece of information that I put up, but that's my own information. So, my theory from now on is just, hit them hard. And if they don't go for it, then that's fine. So, I hit them really hard. And, so far, no one's really going for it. Plus, I don't get as many offers as a lot of other people, as many as you, Bob. And I think it's because I'm just a little reckless. And maybe I have a reputation of being a little reckless in the shop. So sometimes people
and you don't often speak as much in your videos too.
You said that to me in the beginning, and that was an absolute eye opener to me. You go, why you don't talk, so people aren't going to do they're not going to ask you to pitch something because you don't talk. And that's the other thing I do now I'm getting a little confused, but when you said that to me, that's the reason why I started doing my tips videos, to try and gather sponsors for a moment of where I actually speak. And it hasn't worked out great as far as sponsorship, but the tips video is a great series, and I get so many great emails on it. So I'm not going to not do it. The only reason I haven't done one sooner till now is it's just part of everything. I've just gotten so busy. So Dave and I have a lot in the chute, a lot of tips videos in the notebook. So we're going to do one.
Those are great, and people really respond to them. So I hope.
Thank you. Yeah.
You brought up something that's a great point, is that these videos live forever. Right. And so eventually these videos are going to have hundreds of thousands of views. And so when you take on these sponsorships, you have to realize, this video is going to live forever. And 5 years down the road, I want to be able to go back, look at this video and be proud of that video and not be embarrassed by the sponsor. So you want to work with companies that you feel comfortable with.
Another thing, as a YouTube group, I know we have the YouTube Woodworkers group, and we're all going to be together in St. Louis. Maybe we could have a conference over a drink. Regular television commercials that celebrities get involved in, those commercials are done on a contract, and that commercial will only go for 6 months. Mm-hmm. Once that 6 months is up, if the company wants to buy another 6 months and use that voiceover again, they have to pay for another 6 months or a year or whatever it is. And, I have a couple of celebrity friends that have made a lot of money in the commercial business. And these these things all have time caps. You know, when we do a YouTube video, it's basically implied that it's going to last for as long as YouTube lasts.
Yeah.
So, you know, we could potentially put, you know, caps on some of these things, you know, if we all get together as a team.
And these videos, they don't get buried. If you label your videos right, they're going to show up in search forever.
Well, because you also have to put certain tags when you get a company that asks you to advertise for them. They want a tag and they want you to put their website and all that other stuff. So it does involve, you know, searchable media.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, no, it's a tough thing. It's an interesting thing because the way the world is going, YouTube is becoming the TV for the young generation.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, I had my friend David came by yesterday, David Cornwell. He's a big fan of mine. David, how you doing, brother? He came by yesterday and hung out, and his family and his young son is interested. He's a big fan of Miranda Sings, you know, a huge YouTube star. And the notoriety in the press that she gets, and she's just YouTube. And, you know, someone like her, she's basically a celebrity at the caliber of any TV celebrity, you know, among the fans that matter, young kids, you know, anyone between whatever, I don't know what the demographics would be, but all young kids, you know, around the age of 13, 14, 15. And that's the, you know, the key demographic for most advertisers. So YouTube is going in the direction of becoming basically television. But the advertisers and the people that approach us don't approach us with the same respect that they would. You know, like this, I don't want to mention names of certain advertisers, but they have a national campaign that's gone on for 10 years, and then they approach us and say, we only have this many thousands of dollars to do a campaign with you. And it's like, that's ridiculous. You probably spent $10 million in the last year.
Yeah.
But because, you know, we're just like little YouTubers, and, you know, again, when I go back to my TV people and they're like, hey, what are you doing? What are you working on? It's like, well, I'm just on my YouTube. And they're like, oh, that's cute. And they like pat me on the head and like shove me on my way. And they're like, hey, do you want to get involved in a TV show where you get no pay and it's never going to be advertised and you're going to have to give up entire weeks at a time? They go, no, I'd rather do my YouTube. And they go, oh, okay, that's so cute. And I'm like, you're not making anything enticing for me.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and it's interesting. I think one of the things about both from like the general people's perception of what YouTube is and from the advertiser's perception, YouTube, like they think of YouTube as a thing, right? The thing and all the people in the thing are kind of at the same place. They're all of the same value. They're all of the same production quality. And really, I mean, what you're saying there about YouTube being TV, it is like that in that there are some channels that are lame. There are some channels that are fantastic. And within those channels, there are shows that are lame, and there are shows that are fantastic. And within those shows, there are hosts and actors that are lame and fantastic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's really easy for people with less experience of the platform that we're on to look at it as the medium of all of those things. And we are part of that medium. Mm-hmm. You know, I think the advertisers and the companies that understand it understand that there are certain people and certain channels and certain videos that stand out in their genre and like reach people in the way that they're supposed to reach people. And, you know, that's the thing that they find valuable versus some large companies that just say like, you are one of a million people who have a YouTube channel and you all are valued the same in my eyes, you know? And that's why I think they come at a lot of different creators with undervaluing what they do. And I'm not saying that to say that like what we do is so fantastic and we should be paid tons and tons of money for it. That's not the point. But to lump all creative people and all production people into the same category is, you know, I mean, it's great for some, not great for others. So, but I think when we talk about sponsorship stuff, though, the more present thing for me than the advertisers is the audience response to it. Mm-hmm. Because, you know, I've been doing this full time for a couple of months now, and I had a comment the other day, and, you know, I always take comments with a grain of salt now. Thanks a lot to the two of you guys and how you respond to them. But I had this comment that said, it seems like you've had a lot more ads in your videos since you went full time.
Well, that's because this is your job.
I was like, well, yeah, I mean, that's to be expected, you know, but the thing that caught me off guard about that was that seemed unrealistic. That seemed weird to that person.
Right.
You know, I'm not sure how they expect me to be able to make money if I don't do ads. And that's that was part of the expectation from my end and from, I think, most people's, you know.
Right.
But so it's interesting seeing how some people just, I don't know, they have a different expectation about what they get out of YouTube and what they get for free and what it's worth to us, the people that spend time creating it. And I don't know, everybody seems to have a really different perspective.
Yeah, I think what's shocking to the viewers is I used to not have sponsorships in my videos, and now I do. And so maybe they're used to the old way. Like, I like the old you. Well, the old me couldn't put out as many videos because the old me had a full-time job. Now that I've made this my job, I have to find ways to make the car payment, the house payment. So, you know.
Yeah, no, it's I think it's just the more you do movies, and also, of course, the more traffic your site gets and the more views your channel gets as they build, people will be like, oh, hey, I want to latch on to this rising star. And if you decide to do that, you should be paid for it handsomely, and it's unfortunate that some of the fans get mad at the fact that there's videos that involve, integrated products. But, that's sometimes that just allows you to make cooler, longer videos down the road.
I would say that 99% of my comments are super positive.
Yeah.
And I get all the time like, oh, it's great to see you. I just got it. It's great to see you work with some new advertisers. That's, good for you. And that makes me feel so good because these advertisers is the reason I'm putting out these bigger builds now, so.
Yeah. And that's totally true. I'm right there with you on the 99% positive. And it's weird how the 1% can be so loud.
Yeah.
But what you said earlier about them, you used to not have as many sponsorships and then you do, and I did the same thing. I think set an expectation within what you were doing for a long time, what I was doing for a long time. And so the people that came to watch the videos had a certain expectation based on what I'd done. And then when that changes, their expectation changes a bit. But there was a whole conversation I had with somebody last week about expectation and about how, I think we've probably talked about this before. We had to have. But anyway, people come into watching a video or watching a TV show or a movie or whatever piece of media with an expectation as to what it is. Like trailers make movies look so awesome because they build an expectation and then you go to the movie and it's totally different and you're disappointed. So it's interesting how a medium like what we do and podcasting have no trailers. They have nothing to set expectation except history. But people still have these weird expectations that are just like, okay, for instance, out of the sponsorship, but as far as content, I put out a video this last week about a new 3D printer that I have. The printer was given to me, but they did not pay me to say anything about it. It was like more of a, here's a printer for you to use. We hope you like it. We like what you're doing. And I said, what's the and I literally said, what's the expectation here? And they said, nothing. You don't have to do anything with it. And I was like, okay, cool. Then I used the printer and I'm like, this thing is awesome. I want to make a video about this. So I make this video, and it's just like showing the machine and everything. I put it up and one of the first comments was like, oh, wow, an ad. And I totally understand why it may have looked like an ad, but it wasn't, and I try to be really clear about when things are ads. But anyway, I think he was probably put off because not only was the focus of the whole video on a single product, that probably was different than anything I'd done before, but also the 3D printing stuff is pretty new for my channel. And I think so maybe he had an expectation that every one of my videos has to come out, be a project, has to come out with like a thing at the end of it. And like, you can do this too. So I think there's all sorts of stuff wrapped up in like the viewer's expectations or the listener's expectations when you create something. And so I guess if I can make that productive and useful for people is just realize that just because you have an idea of what you're doing and how you're creating and why you're doing it, the other people that are watching and kind of consuming what you do may not necessarily have that same expectation. And that doesn't mean that what you're doing is bad or wrong or anything.
Yeah.
No,
I'm going to stop talking now.
Well, I love the idea. I always tell, and if any advertisers are listening, you want to send me free stuff, I'll use it. That's fine. Send me free stuff, and I'll show your name off or whatever. But, recently, I'm not going to say who it was. They said, they said, I'm going to send you a free pair of these things. And I said, oh, great. That's cool. And then I said, awesome. That's awesome. And they had like several choices. Again, I don't want to be too specific, but the one they showed me in the picture was like $500 version. And I said, oh, that's really awesome. And they're like, okay, if you're going to show it in your video, these are the 50 points you need to hit. And I said, whoa, slow your roll. I said, I will show them for 1 second because you gave them to me and say thank you. If you want me to do all that, this big number is attached to it. And they wrote back, oh, we understand. We'll put them in the mail tomorrow. And what came in the mail was the $50 version or whatever it is they sell. And and my cat chewed them to pieces. I don't even want to say what it is. I'll tell you somebody.
Just today, I turned down a free tool. Like this company reached out to me and said, hey, you've used one of our tools in your videos in the past. We'd like to send you this new tool. And I said, that would be great, but here are my sponsorship rates. You know, I have to make a living. So I turned, and they said, we don't normally do this, but we'll get back to you, which means they're not going to get back to me. And so I turned down a free tool because I have to make a living. So
Well, like I said, if someone sends me I'll put it in for a flash. But if they want me to talk about it and, you know, hold it up to the camera and smile with my, you know, my eyes wide open, they have to, you know, they have to pony up. But if you want to send me something, I'll show it for a second. Sure, why not? But and then that doesn't happen to me that often. And, you know, I've talked about this before many, many times, but, you know, everyone thinks I'm Mr. DeWalt boy because of that one DeWalt video I did. It's a great build, so I left it up, but they only gave me 1 or 2 tools in that whole video. They came to me because I already owned everything they had. And then when my relationship went weird with them and they never explained why, I just started painting all my tools white. And so now I paint everything white. And that's the main reason, because, you know, they got weird with me. I asked them questions and they just never answered me, and they just stopped calling me or stopped emailing me. We had plans to make like 10 videos, and I made one of them, and it took them months to approve it. And when they finally approved it, they did put it up with very minimal adjustments, but then they stopped calling me. So I was like, now they just basically bought me for very inexpensive for the first video, and now everybody thinks I work for them. So that's it. I went to the shop, I painted all my yellow tools white. And now if I do have a yellow tool, you know, if I don't have white spray paint around, I reluctantly use it on camera. Otherwise, I'm going to paint it white. And now I paint every tool white, because if somebody sees a red tool, they're like, oh, you work for Milwaukee? Milwaukee sent you free tools? You know. And
now white is your branding.
White is my branding. And so that's why I make sure everything I use is paint white on camera. And it's just, you know, because there was like a twofold edge to that, because a lot of people will not a lot, but again, you know, the negative comments are very few in relationship to the positive. But sometimes people will look at I could make that too if I had all those expensive tools. You know, and I wanted, like, you know, when you go down the generic food aisle in like in a supermarket, everything's white. I don't know if they still have that, but I remember as a kid there was the generic food, everything was white. So I was like, you know what, I just want my tools to be generic. And I just don't want people to say, oh, of course I could drill a perfect hole if you had like an expensive drill, which is ridiculous because all drills do the same thing. You know, of course if I had that, I could do that.
So something I've been struggling with lately is the weekly wrap up. And I have not publicly said why I've been taking a break from that, because I didn't want to sound greedy. And I truly believe that I am not a greedy person. But what was happening was I started tallying up the time it was taking me to make the weekly wrap-up review. And it was almost 25% of my work week. And that's watching videos throughout the week, taking notes, seeing and making the script. And I'm like, this is taking up 25% of my work week, but contributing almost nothing to my income. This doesn't make sense in a business manner. So,
when that's all you do and you don't have anything else coming in, you have to make sure everything works.
And so I've been reworking things, rebranding it, and I'm hoping to get sponsorships for the new show. It's not going to be called the Weekly Wrap Up anymore. The first episode's coming out this Friday. It's going to be called Makers and Shakers. There's no sponsors for this one, but it's going to be, if I want to keep this going, I'm going to have to get sponsors for it, because 25% of a work week is quite a bit. So
sell out.
I know it. I really just didn't want to sound greedy, but it's a hard thing to say, like, hey, I'm not making any money, I'm not going to do this. And I don't know.
No, you're doing the right thing. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, like we all got to get paid. And I've been trying to. I do a lot of. You know, the brand stuff that I do. And again, without being specific, I've been working with some of those brands and having ongoing conversations about having my channel sponsored by one of those brands. And, you know, the conversation comes up and then I think, oh, that would be wonderful. And then the conversation fades away. And then, you know, then I do a video and they're like, oh my God, look at how many hits that got. Like, we should do this with you. And then the conversation fades away. But, you know, it would be nice. It would be nice to have my YouTube channel, you know, put a lot of money in my pocket, you know, by me not having to work physically that hard, you know, and that's what the sponsorship's about. It's like, if I could physically say 2 or 3 sentences about somebody and then I get thousands of dollars, you know, that's what you work so hard up to this point for, is to, you know, to get that, to gain that credibility and to be able to, you know, get the trust of your friends and fans that will listen to you. And, you know, I mean, I use a lot of things that people buy and use, and I just use them because I like them. I don't get paid by anybody, you know, some of the tools and some of the things that I do.
One of the questions that I get every once in a while is, how do you get sponsors? And what I tell everybody is, I have never approached a sponsor. I've never made that first contact.
Just make good content and they'll come your way. They'll show up.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then, you know, there's all kinds of YouTube websites where you could see people's analytics and you could see who and how many people they add a day. You know, if you're adding, you know, a few hundred subscribers a day, or in Bob's case, 10,000 per day, you know, you
Come on. Give me a break.
You should be proud, man.
You should be.
Out of nowhere.
You should be.
We're just kidding with you. No, it's you know, and that's what people look for. They look for. And it's funny. My brother is in the advertising game, and he tries to sell some of my stuff internally to you know, some companies, and he'll call me and he'll say, oh, how many YouTube subscribers you have today? I go, I don't know, 200 and something. And he's like, how many views does your channel have? And I'm blah, blah, blah. And he goes, okay, cool. I go, what? He go, I'm going in a meeting. I'm just going to pitch to these guys. And he wants to have these numbers at the tip of his tongue so that he could spit them out. And if somebody does check him, he just wants to be right, you know. If you've ever been in a meeting with somebody and they have their computer open in front of them and you're saying some facts and they correct you, you know, so that's why you can't exaggerate anymore.
Yes. Yeah.
So the kind of flip side of the sponsorship stuff is the crowdfunding. And, you know, we do Patreon for this show, and David and I both have Patreon accounts for our channels. And it's a really awesome setup for us to be able to get support directly from the people that watch the videos or listen to the podcast or whatever. And, you know, that's a way for them to give money to us directly rather than going and clicking an ad or buying a product that then, you know, goes back and we get credit for it or any of that stuff. And so I don't want to discount that as a really awesome source of revenue for people who are doing creative things. But at the same time, in my experience so far, it is helpful, but it is not like, it's not overtaking any sort of income that we've made from, you know, sponsorships or advertising or things like that. Now, I've seen it be in a lot of, especially musicians, but I've seen it be the overwhelming income for these people. These people are making their entire living off of the Patreon support, and that is direct consumer support. That's awesome that these people can do it. And I wish that was realistic for everybody to do it that way, so that we wouldn't have to do sponsorships at all. But it's not, you know, it's just right now, at least, especially for this show and for us personally, it's a portion of income. But, you know, so I think if people are really, I think the majority of people who watch our stuff are not really bothered by the sponsorships and not really bothered by the ads. But if they are, then, you know, crowdfunding is a way for them to, you know, combat that. Because I know if I was making what I needed off of Patreon, I wouldn't take any sponsorships. I'd be happy not to. But, you know, I'm not. So,
yeah.
But that is a thing that, you know, some people forget about.
Well, I somebody once called me a corporate whore. The projects, I'm a corporate whore and the things that I make. And so I did a little investigation and I went to his channel. And he not only does he not say what his name is, he never shows his face, but he has Patreon. So I'm thinking to myself, this guy's calling me a corporate whore because I physically work like probably 15 hours every single day of my life. to earn money. And because, the corporations I work for, part of what I do for them is I make their signage. So you see that, and that makes me a corporate whore. And, I get paid handsomely, and I get to share the techniques that I demonstrate when I make these signage or whatever it is I'm making. And he's completely hidden, doesn't show his face, doesn't show anything. And he's got Patreon. And so he doesn't, it's underneath this comment, people started saying, well, Diresta works pretty hard for his money and you're asking for it. So like, what's wrong with Diresta actually physically earning his money when you sit there and ask for it? Like what puts you in a position of judging?
Yeah.
And I'm also within Patreon with you three guys, we all collect Patreon here. So, I mean, that comment just got me when the guy's like, he's like, oh, you're a corporate. So like, would he value what I do if I asked for money and didn't actually get paid by the clients I work for? I mean, he's just one bug in my bonnet. But
the beauty of what we do is that there is multiple ways to make money. And this is unlike television. This is unlike radio, where you can make money through crowdfunding or through sponsorships or through AdSense or by selling the stuff that you make on your channel. There's so many ways to make money that it's different for everybody.
Yeah. No, but I was just annoyed that this person would, anybody gets annoying, anybody that's negative. But he's telling me I'm a corporate whore when I go to his channel, and he's literally just asking his fans to give him money. But he won't, like I said, it annoyed me that he's not honest enough to show people who he is and what his name is. He's got some fake name and some fake, facade. He's
probably the guy with the Chevy jacket and the Playboy
bunny keyring.
Yeah.
Well, at some point we should probably talk about there was a topic suggested recently about like which of those different venues that you're talking about, David, which one of those was like the most useful. And I can't remember exactly what the topic is. I'll look it up, but it might be interesting to talk about like of all those different opportunities for us individually, what is the most useful and what's the one, like if somebody were starting out, what would they want to like really dig into and pursue?
That's a tough question. That's going to be different for everybody. Like how I got started was it was an accident. I started making these wooden side panels for a Korg synthesizer. And this synthesizer just came out. It was reissued from 30 years ago. And I started selling all these wood panels. And that kind of helped me get going. And I was also selling bandsaw box patterns and templates. And that kind of helped get me going. And then every once in a while, I'd get a little sponsorship, and that got me going. So it's going to be different for everybody. I mean, I actually don't sell my woodworking much anymore. Once in a while, I'm going to do the craft show thing, but I'm doing way less of that because I'm finding that it is not a valuable use of my time anymore. So
yeah. Well, I started doing the Core 77 videos, and I was contemplating each month, I'm going to make a piece of furniture, and hopefully it's going to be of a certain quality that's impresses me. And so I was thinking about selling those pieces of furniture off of on my website one at a time as I make them. So the first one I have to I have to negotiate with Taylor because she loves it so much. She's like, "It's going right upstate." I'm like, "But wait, we could sell that," and she's like, "No, it's going in the house."
You can make another one.
Yeah, I was like, "Watch the video, and you could watch and learn how to make one."
So how would you answer that, Bob?
What's the most profitable?
Yeah. Or what's the most valuable?
Yeah. Value and profit are very different. Yeah. That's a distinction that should be made is that, profitable, I think sponsorship stuff has been the most profitable part for me so far. Valuable, I think, is Patreon. And the reason I say that, even though the money is a lot lower, I've actually made friends with a lot of the people who support me on Patreon because I actually get to spend time with them in Hangouts. And I've gotten to know these people and know what they're doing and like what they're into. And I've maybe been able to help a little bit, give, advice or something. But mainly it's just like I've gotten to know these people that are doing awesome things on their own. And they may not have a YouTube channel to show it off to people, but they're still doing great stuff and they're still great people. And so honestly, that's the most valuable stuff to me is to be able to see the impact that I'm having through what I'm doing. And that comes through emails, that comes through the Patreon conversations, that comes through Facebook posts from people. But as far as it being tied to an income source, I think Patreon is probably the most valuable, you know.
We're doing a Patreon hangout after this show.
We are with one of our patrons. Well, I'm going to mention his name right now because that's what we do at the end of the show. It's Luis Gonzalez. We're going to hang out with Luis. And I want to thank him, Jeremy White, and Juan Vargas. They're our top patrons on Patreon. And if you're interested in helping us out on Patreon, I don't want to beg, because I certainly don't want to. I apparently get accused of talking about sponsorship and Patreon too much. But anyway, patreon.com/makingit. If you guys want to help support the show, that'd be awesome. But if not, listen to it for free. We're going to keep doing it. Yep. So thank those guys and everybody else that supports us over there. We really appreciate it. Like I said, it's meaningful to us to get like direct support from people.
We should just make the point real quick. Everybody gets to listen to this show. Everybody gets to watch our videos for free because of Patreon and the sponsors, right? It's free to you. You just have to put up with like a couple seconds of us talking about product that you may get value out of, that we get value out of, right?
A floating logo. It doesn't matter. It's just a logo.
Oh, and let me make a point to go with that. There's somebody, his name's Jesse Hewson. He's awesome. He supports me and probably this show as well, I think. He said one time that in a hangout, he said that he wanted to support my videos through Patreon so that other people could be able to see them. That was his reason for wanting to do it. And that blew me away. That's awesome that somebody is willing to help me do more of what I do for other people, not for his gain. That wasn't the point of it. Mm-hmm. But anyway, Patreon and people that support us on Patreon are awesome. And it's just a cool way to connect with people. Anyway, all right, let's move on for that. What are we watching? What are you guys watching?
Nothing.
That's a terrible answer.
I know. All right, you guys answer, and I'm gonna come up with a channel real quick.
He's gonna do a Google search.
I'm gonna give a shout out to Casey Neistat. His channel has been every day for the last 100-something days. He's been building up, talking about his app just came out. I'm not 100% sure I like the app or what it's for, but I've been playing with it. Beam, Beme. Casey's Beam came out. The name of his app is Beam. And then so Casey, I've been watching ongoing, and watching the release of his new app, which came out Friday. It's all being talked about daily on his vlog, on his YouTube channel, and also, I hope I didn't mention him already before, but Mr. Pete 222. Have I mentioned him before?
I don't think so.
Because this week I've been watching a lot of his stuff. Mr. Pete is a machinist in Illinois, and he's an older gentleman, and he's a bit spicy. And talks all about Bridgeport machinery and lathes and stuff. So because I'm getting this new lathe. And shout out to Tom Utley. Tom's got the same lathe, the one that's being restored by King Utley on Instagram and Twitter. I just basically bought the same lathe. So if you see what he's playing around with, and he's bringing his back to like better than factory specs, I'm just going to buy mine. And if I don't drop it on the way home, I'm going to plug it in as soon as I get it back to my shop. So yeah, that's what I've been up to. Mr. Pete and Casey mostly this week.
And I'm going to go with, and it goes perfect with today's show, is Video Creators with Tim Schmoyer.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a YouTube channel, and he all he does is just give out free advice to YouTubers on how to promote your channel, how to get sponsors, and how to make money from your channel, or just how to make better, more valuable content for your channel.
Yeah, he's a good guy too. Tim's a really nice guy. And I did a video for him that's going to be coming out on Video Creators.
Awesome. Yeah, I've actually purchased a couple of his ebooks. Real good stuff.
Awesome. Well, I have two videos. You guys ever seen the Slow-Mo Guys?
Yes. They had a show.
You haven't seen the Slow-Mo Guys?
No.
Oh, man. Okay, so it's these two guys. They have a gigantic YouTube channel, and they have these really expensive slow-mo cameras, and so they just make videos of like crazy stuff in really slow motion, like 10,000 frames a second kind of slow motion. And they're all awesome. They're fun to watch. But the one they put out yesterday is one of the guys got inside of a 6-foot balloon, and they filled it up with water. And then it pops. That's the whole video, but it's awesome. It's really funny, and they're just funny guys. They always do funny stuff. The other one is a friend of mine, and Jimmy knows him as well, Wes Swain.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Met Wes. Actually, David, you met him too. We met him in North Carolina at Woodworking America last year. Super nice guy. He's come to Savannah. We've had lunch and stuff. But he put out his video for this nursery that he made for his son. And it's a Mario Kart nursery. And he painted this insane mural all the way around and on the ceiling. And he sculpted a Mario in a Mario Kart. And it's like got LEDs in it. And it's hanging on the ceiling on a road. And there's AstroTurf on the ceiling. It's bananas. And he's gotten picked up in the last couple of days by like Huffington Post and ABC News and Fox Sports and just like...
Yeah, we got to see photos of it on his phone last year, about a year ago, and it was just mind-blowing then. And so, yeah.
So he's finally finished it.
Yeah, he deserves all that attention.
Absolutely. It was really well done. And he's a nice guy.
Yep, cool dude.
Speaking of woodworking in America, all three of us are going to be there this September in Kansas City.
Dates are September...
I don't know, something like the 25th?
Something?
25th to the 27th?
Second, whenever New York Maker Fair is, because I know I can't go.
Yeah.
It's that same weekend.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we'll all be there along with a whole bunch of other YouTube people, like tons. So that'll be a lot of fun. Get to hang out.
It is confirmed. It is September 25th through the 27th.
Nice. Yeah. And if you don't want to pay for the whole conference, because it is kind of expensive, you can pay, I think it was $10 last year to get into the marketplace. And that's where we will be all hanging out. So, you don't have to pay much to get in and like look at tools and look at products and hang out with a bunch of doofuses that you see online.
Yeah,
that's us.
Yep. David might come with me. Welder might come out with me in a car. We're going to drive.
Awesome.
We're really trying to have my book done and printed by that date.
Sweet.
I don't want to make any promises yet, but that's a goal. That is my goal.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
I want a copy.
You get a copy. The
Sweet.
two of you get a free copy.
Yes.
The rest of you, I need your money.
Speaking of sellout.
Yeah, the dog has to eat. Man, I got to get some dog food.
Sell out. Can't you give everything away for free? Come on, what's wrong with you?
Right?
Cool. Well, that'll probably do it for us this week. And thanks for listening, everybody. See you next time.
Thank you all.
Later.